right, let's go ahead and break some of this down. So this first lick here is something that works really well over the A chord. So, you know, this track here is basically a 12-bar blues in the key of E. We're going from E to A, and then B, that's the 5 chord. So that's the basic chord structure, just the standard 12-bar blues in the key of E. And this first lick here goes really well over the A. Anytime you're playing over the A chord. Now the idea here comes from this chord shape up here. So if you ever played this A7 chord shape, right? Think of like the C, the standard C7 shape. Just way up here, so your third finger is on the 12th fret. Basically that's the 12th fret on the 5th, the 11th fret on the 4th, the 12th fret on the 3rd, and the 10th fret on the 2nd. So that shape, what that goes with is this arpeggio pattern. Right? That's where this lick comes from. So this first part, we're sliding up 10 to 11, or hammering. That's what it is. Anytime you land on a major third over a chord, that note's going to go really well with that underlying chord. Right? That's the sound that's basically happening when we hit that note over the A. Sounds good, right? So the lick, I'll play the first part of it here. Right? That's basically what you're hearing there. So a very strong A dominant, you know, A7 sound. So the next part of the lick, so we got that part. Then we get into kind of E minor territory. So this is kind of a cool sound. This next part of the lick is a big contrast from the first part of the lick. So has a much different vibe, right? We're still playing over A, but I like that contrast of just like the throwing in flavors of the E minor chord in there. It makes that part of the lick sound much different than the first part. The first part sounds very like happy and major. And the next part sounds very minor and aggressive. You know, we're dealing with those A minor, kind of core A minor notes, the minor third and the flat 7 in the E root. So a much different vibe. So and then we do this. Now that probably sounds familiar. That's a really familiar pattern that we've done in other licks. Basically what you got going on here is this 10th fret on the 2nd string is the A note, right? This note you're sliding up 10 to 11 on the 4th string. That is the major third of A. So, right? Different ways to play, different places to play this on the neck. You could do this up here. You could do it down lower, right? So a lot of places, anywhere there's an A note, there's a major third in the neighborhood somewhere, right? In that major third and the root note, that makes a very distinctive sound that goes really well over that chord. There's no mistaking that that's an A. Right? So that's the idea here. We're playing notes that really emphasize those chord changes. So in any case, we slide down here to the G note, which is the flat 7th of A. Right? That gives it that dominant 7 sound. The last part of the lick, so we can do a little bend there if you want to. The last few notes we go like this. What that does is resolve nicely to the E. So again, we're painting the colors of the chords as we're playing through them. This is A, and then the last note there, we're landing on the E. That makes a really nice transition from the A back to the E chord. Right? So, something like that is the vibe of the lick. So that's it. I think that's all the main concepts there. Again, big takeaways, the shape we're playing there, we're really emphasizing the notes in the A dominant 7 chord. And we throw in a little flavor by throwing some E minor type notes in there. And then we finally land on a strong E note. So that's how we're really emphasizing the changes in this lick. I'll play it through one more time at a pretty slow speed. Okay, the second lick, a couple different ways to look at this. This is another lick that's good also for going again from the A to the E. So let me play through it once and I'll kind of explain why. So that first part of the lick, this can work over E. Can also work over the A. The reason why it works pretty well over both is because it's using a lot of the core notes from each of those chords. So notice that the first part of the lick, that's the A note is really the emphasis there, right? Well, we're playing over A, that would work well. 8 is the G, which is the flat 7th of A, so that also works well. And even landing there, landing on the E note, that's the 5th of A. So that's a strong A tone as well. So that first part of the lick, you could use that in different ways. It would work well over A, but it would work well over the E too. If you just break it down, you're landing on the E note at the end. You got the minor third a couple places in there. You got the B, the 5th of E in one place. So that would work well over the E too. It really just matters where you emphasize a couple of the key notes there. If I was playing a similar lick like that and I wanted to play it over the A, I would throw more of the A note in. If I was doing playing that over the E, I'd emphasize the minor third a little bit. I'd emphasize the root E, so maybe I'd do something like this. Emphasize those E notes a little more strongly. So anyway, while this lick is really designed, I think, to go from the A to the E, my point here is that you can tweak that lick at the beginning to work over A or E pretty well. So back to the lick. After we get to this first part, right, we get to this last 3 notes. Now that should sound pretty familiar by now. It looks a little bit different. The fingering is a little bit different. The pattern's a little bit different. But what we're hitting there is 2 notes that we have seen again and again and again as we've gone through some of this licks from this lesson and other lessons. That is the major third in the root of E. That's 6 on the 4th string. That's the major third of E. That's the G sharp. And then 9 is the root. A lot of different places you could play that. Right? Anytime you have the root chord, again, you got the major third somewhere in the neighborhood. In fact, if you're playing on the 3rd string, there's 4 major thirds right within your reach. So you got this one up on the 11th fret on the 5th string. You got the 6th fret on the 4th string. An octave up, you have the 9th fret on the 2nd string. And then same note on the 3rd string, just 4 frets up. 13th fret on the 3rd string. It's actually a good little exercise just to kind of ingrain in your mind where the major thirds are for this root note. But the point is, back to this lick, that we're really emphasizing that change to the E by throwing in the major third of E in the root. There's no mistaking what chord you're playing over when you hear those notes together. Right. So that's it. A lot of explanation there for a relatively simple lick. The points I'm really trying to make here is, again, how to emphasize the right notes over each chord. In the first part of the lick, you can emphasize the A note and make it work really well with that. You can even tweak a little bit and emphasize certain notes to make it work over the E. But that last part is just another different fingering to get to the major third root to make that change to the E chord, or whatever chord it is, very pronounced and very strong. Let's play it through one more time at a relatively slow speed. All right, the final lick here, this is a lick where there's not much to discuss in the way of theory or anything. This is just a fun lick to play, E minor blues pattern style lick, just with a lot of hammer on and pull-offs. So it's a good technique exercise. It's just one of those fast licks that sounds pretty good. So I'll talk through it kind of note by note here. So just a bunch of hammer on pull-off. We're in the E pentatonic scale, E blues scale up here. Right? So it's basically the A minor pentatonic. But we have the flat fifth thrown in, and there's 2 flat fifths to worry about here. You got one up here on the 13th fret on the 5th string, and you got one on the 15th fret on the 3rd string. So that one little flat fifth makes a big difference in the tone. It's also a easy note to throw in. It's just easy to finger. And that's why I think people use it a lot, aside from the sound. It's just, it fits in well with the standard fingering of the pentatonic scale. It's really easy to include that note. So I think that's why you hear it a lot, in addition to it just sounding cool. All right, so let's go through the lick. That's the lick, kind of played at a slow speed. A little bit faster. So it's just some really basic pentatonic hammer-on, pull-on patterns. You can kind of break this down in a couple of ways. The first part, that's the first 7 notes there. If you're interested in the picking pattern there, I'm picking down. You could pick up or down on this when you get to the first string. But the last 15, 12, I'm doing a downstroke, upstroke. So you could do downstroke, downstroke too, if that's your thing. But alternate picking style, I would do down, up. Next 7 notes, it's right? So all together you have this. That's it. Just really pretty comfortable standard hammer-on, pull-off stuff. The last part of the lick is this. So 12, and then pull off from the 15, 14, 12. All right, you could also slide down. It's another thing I like to do sometimes. So a little bit different of the sound. It's very subtle, but it's there. This way you're hitting every note distinctly. This is a little more smooth, sliding down. Slides a little smoother of a transition between the notes, obviously. So that's about it. Nothing, again, to really talk about there. This is just a fast, fun lick to play. I'll play through it one more time at a relatively slow speed.